You're listening to the Higher Attitudes Podcast. Inspiration to lift your soul.
I have been studying the life of Abraham, and one thing that comes to mind as I study his life is his patience. This podcast is called Waiting Patiently for Blessings. When you pray, do answers come immediately, or do you have to wait? Sometimes for a long time. God promised him that he would be the father of many nations, and that his posterity would be as numerous as the sand of the sea. And Sarah, his wife, would have a son. They were also promised all of the land of Canaan, yet they remained childless for decades. Eventually, their travels took them to Egypt, when, after a brief stay in the promised land, a severe famine came over the land. At this time, Abraham was 75, and Sarah was 65. Sarah, because of her great beauty, even at the age of 65, was kidnapped and taken to the king's palace. Not for a week, but long enough for the women of the palace to be cursed without children, meaning at least a year, and probably longer. Finally, after Pharaoh suffered a debilitating disease and was cured by Abraham, Sarah was finally released. She was given a handmaid, a servant. Eventually, Sarah, in desperation, offered Hagar, the servant, to her husband to bear him a child. That child was 13 years old when Sarah finally had Isaac. Sarah, at that point, was well past childbearing years, being about 90. As a final test of faith, Abraham was asked to sacrifice Isaac, his covenant son. Abraham had to believe that God would save him or bring him back to life. Can you imagine this pain, the suffering, the struggles, the second-guessing, as Abraham had to leave the land of promise to go to Egypt again, having your wife taken away, or as Sarah, forced away from your husband and worrying daily whether the king would choose to rape you? Can you imagine waiting for the promised blessings and waiting and waiting and waiting more? At what point do we say, enough's enough, I'm done? When would we start to doubt or to stop believing altogether? Abraham and Sarah waited patiently for decades, yet they often wondered when the promises would be fulfilled. Sarah even laughed when an angel said she would have a child at 90. It seemed that she must have imagined that the promise had ever been given. Yet here was an angel promising again. She basically said, yeah, right, sure, that's not going to happen. But the Lord showed her that nothing is impossible, and he does keep his promises in his own time. Are there promises you're waiting for, patiently, or not so patiently for? Do you feel that maybe God has forgotten you? There are blessings in my life that I am waiting for. Some I have waited a long time, and I still wait. Some blessings have come quickly, others at a time I least expect. And still, others I am learning to trust that the Lord is true, that he keeps his promises. Like knowing the sun is in the sky on a stormy day. It seems the promise is far off, yet I must trust that it's there. I do believe, and I know that he does honor his covenants. The miracles of healing, understanding why, or hope, or other blessings promised or hoped for do come. It is after the sometimes very long trial of faith that they come. Our patience may be stretched to a point that seems more than we can bear. But the miracles, along with the hope, the joy, and emotional and spiritual healing, do come. If Abraham can believe for decades, maybe we can hang in there a little longer. The blessing is coming, and it will be glorious when we receive it, and worth the wait. It takes patience, and sometimes it's really hard, and sometimes we really doubt. We wonder if the Lord even hears us. Why is he not answering right now? Why do I have to wait so long? But he knows you. He knows what you need, and he is not forgotten. He has given his promise. He gives hope. And no, it's not in our time usually, but eventually he does fulfill his promise. He does give the blessings. I know this to be true, and yes, I have to wait patiently too. And sometimes I don't wait very patiently. Sometimes I get impatient. I want it now. But deep in my heart, I know that he is answering my prayers. And sometimes the answers come in ways I don't expect. But I do know that he does, and that those answers come. And like you, there are struggles that I have, questions that I have, that I am still waiting for answers. But like Abraham, maybe I can patiently wait a little bit longer. Hopefully not decades, but I'm willing to seek him and know that He knows me and He will come through. So I patiently wait for Him.
Thank you for listening. We'd love to have you join us on Facebook at facebook.com/higher-attitudes. Do you have an uplifting thought to share? Why not join our Facebook discussion group? Visit the group at facebook.com/groups/higher-attitudes to request membership. If you'd like to leave a question about a challenge you're facing, or if you'd like to share a thought about how you've overcome negativity, call 719-301-0303 and record your question or comment. Please note that carrier rates may apply. Again, call 719-301-0303 to leave a question or comment. We hope you've enjoyed the show, and we look forward to you joining us for the next episode of the Higher Attitudes podcast. Please remember that the advice offered in this show is intended for informational purposes only. Please read our full disclaimer in the show notes.